Hey everybody, welcome back to new videos channel, and today we're looking into my favorite UI library that you can use with Vue and Nuxt, obviously. And you might have a guess, but you'll be surprised. So let's not waste any time, find it out. In the Vue ecosystem, there are a number of UI libraries that you can choose from, which is, I think, great. That speaks for a big, rich, mature ecosystem. And to be fair, there is no real right or wrong there. I mean, if your project requirements say, hey, we have to use material design, of course you want to use a UI or component library that uses material design straight away instead of re-implementing it all the way. Or if you say, hey, I need a certain component and a UI library has the best implementation, fully. I totally get it. But of course, besides that, people can debate of headless or just like fully pre-built components, and it all depends on your personal preference in terms of design and also your project's requirements as mentioned. And well, as I said, I have a personal favorite when it comes to component or UI libraries. But before we get into that, let's quickly talk about a conference that comes up in, well, next month. It's almost time for Vue.js Amsterdam. We have an amazing lineup there, and I'll be also at the conference. So is Evan Vue, of course, the creator of Vue.js. Daniel Rowe will be there, Sebastian, Puya, Eduardo, Guillaume from the Vue, and of course also Nuxt core team. Getting all the exciting news out there. Sick lineup, 2 or in this case even 3 days with JS World, where we have people from the TC39 committee, and I heard even a game show. So looking forward to that. I hope I see some of you there. If you didn't buy your ticket yet, there is a 10% discount in the description link, or just use the coupon code Lichter. So yeah, let me know if you're coming around. Also, there's a meetup, also link in the description to that before the conference. So if you're around the Netherlands and come around, that would be great. Looking forward to see some of you, have a nice chat and nerd about a bit Vue and Nuxt.js. But yeah, now back to the library, and for those who thought like, oh yeah, I know Alex, I know what you're talking about. Your guess not be, I talk about this one here, Nuxt UI. Of course, version 3. And the thing is, I really enjoy using Nuxt UI. But it's not my favorite UI library, even though it's super versatile, and V3 comes with Tailwind, V4 with a base on Reka UI, a lot of amazing features, and with Nuxt UI Pro, also linked to the description, that with a discount code, you can have an amazing scaffold already. There is something else that caught my eye, and I will tell you why throughout this video. And my personal favorite UI library, especially in terms of design components, is this one here. It is Inspira UI. And for all of those who haven't heard of Inspira UI yet, let's take a look at the component library, the organization around it, what's so special about it, and why I think it's really great for design and inspiration. And it all starts already on the website, where everything is built either with components from Inspira UI or just, well, implemented Tailwind CSS version. So, of course, there it starts already. Yes, it is a Tailwind CSS based UI library. And we straight away see, okay, we have amazing features. It's usable in Vue Nuxt, of course. Things are customizable. Tailwind CSS support is mentioned. We have built-in motion animations, which is a big thing. Dark mode comes already, as we've seen here. Could toggle light mode, but I will spare you. And it's also very lightweight and performant. And if you see examples, it's not like the typical, oh, here are our buttons, here are our, I know, headers. It is not the typical UI library to build applications, so to say. So it's more for actually, let's say, landing pages or similar. While things like Nuxt UI are more for general purpose. You can build your dashboard with it. You can also use it for your landing page as well. But here are more, let's say, components that you wouldn't use all together. Why in a library like Nuxt UI, you're more like, hey, oh yeah, give me a button here, give me that header, that footer. So you can easily compose them, while in the case of Inspira UI, it's more for, as the name says, inspiration and things that could be very nice on a landing page, but you don't have to implement them from scratch, but can tinker with them and even change them to your liking. And it starts already with this 3D card hover effect. So if you check that out, you see this is not really something you want on every website, but it could be pretty slick for your own one. Possibly. Same with that hover effect here, that's very subtle and nice, but it doesn't fit everywhere. Or with that radiant text and so on, so on. Same with these wonderful actual clickable marquees with some user feedback. So yeah, I think that's already pretty clear that this UI library is different than, well, what the typical UI library looks like. So from that, let's see how we can actually install it and then dive into some components, because there is actually a favorite part of the library in my opinion. To get started, it's pretty simple. You need to set up Tailwind CSS if you haven't done it already. If you set Shadcn, of course, you can skip a few steps, obviously. Then adding some dependencies, which is mainly Inspire UI plugins, some dependencies for Tailwind's class merges, for class variants, authority, and so on, and Tailwind CSS animate. And then you want Vue views and Motion V mainly for, well, as we heard, animations, transitions, everything regarding motion. We'll also come back to Motion V in a little bit. Then step 3, we have to alter our Tailwind config. And if you see this, yep, it is still Tailwind version 3, so it doesn't support V4 yet. So there's a work in progress, but I'll tell you later in the video how you can use Inspire UI components easily with Tailwind V4 without any worries. So stay tuned. But coming back here, let's go to step 4. And step 4 is very simple. Set up a CN utility, right, for class names to make sure they're properly merged. And that's all. You're done. That's it. So let's jump into components and find out what magic is in there, because that seemed pretty simple. And if you have a look at the components here, we see, for example, first a lot of backgrounds from Aurora over to, for example, this lamp effect here. Pretty slick, actually. If you take a look at all the components available, we see, first of all, quite some backgrounds. So over 15 or actually 16 backgrounds there. For example, this Tetris background, pretty new actually, very simple and useful if, well, that fits to your website. It's nice, but of course there's more than that. We also have, like, I don't know, this slick lamp effect. Looks pretty nice. Might incorporate it somewhere, let's see. But of course also other things like different buttons. We said, wait, this is not a typical UI library. So yeah, a rainbow button, for example, a bit different than usual. And also, if we continue with the list, different cards that look great, device mocks, input form, miscellaneous stuff like a book. Yeah, like an actual book with animations. I'm not kidding here. And lot of other things like, for example, special effects. Yeah, like confetti or text animations. Classic confetti, very nice. And even some visualizations like the GitHub globe. You quietly remember that GitHub globe. It takes a little bit. You've seen at the starting page, which uses some extra dependencies, of course, because this is obviously based with Three.js. Maybe a Dress.js integration could be cool there. Chance to collaborate. Guys, I'll DM you. Okay, let's get back to the components and actually take a look at this file tree here, which is also quite new. So what does this UI library Inspire UI is actually special about? And the point is exactly in these component pages. Because here we see, okay, we have a preview of how this thing looks like. You can even collapse it fully. That's very lovely. You have all the code here with the template tag first, which is fine for a design library or UI library, I guess. Otherwise, it's a bit sketchy, but in this case, that's fine. Otherwise, script first. I'll probably change that, but each their own. And here we see the code. Plus, if we scroll further down, it's exactly what's displayed. We see also the script part, of course. And you might have seen it already briefly. This line here, import type tree view element from add components UI file tree index. And some of you might have wondered already when we installed the dependencies. Yeah, we installed Inspire UI plugins, but no actual Inspire UI library or package. And that's fully correct. Big benefits. We see that if we scroll to that component code here is that actually Inspire UI is a bit like Tailwind UI there. So you take the component code and are responsible for customizing it yourself. So you can do whatever you want with that. You can take it as it is if it fits into your site perfectly, or you say, hey, maybe I want to change something. I don't want to use certain utilities. I want to use different classes. I want to use different icons and so on, so on. So even though not everything is straight away exposed by the component, by owning the code fully, well, then it's up to you what you do with it. Which also means the maintenance is up to you. But as most of these components are mainly representational, so like design related, there isn't that much maintenance with like super difficult and custom state management and I don't know, a nested dialog in a portal opened by a weird button in a combo box. We all know these, right? So in this case, I think that pattern of owning the code and Inspire UI giving a recipe, as I said, like with Tailwind UI and a few other libraries out there, is pretty powerful because you can customize it to the slightest bit as you want. And oftentimes these component codes are not that long. They're not like hundreds of lines in something like 2-digit numbers, but of course can also be longer depending on the complexity. Nevertheless, there are new components being added all the time, and the best part is there is a big mix of things. So we've seen things being ported over by libraries like Magic UI or Eternity UI, which are pretty popular in other frameworks, React. And it's great to see that they are available also now in the Vue ecosystem with their own touch. So maybe fitting better to the framework, better integrations, and so on and so on. There are components that are self-made, there are components from Chatzy and Vue, and so on and so on. So that's why I really like to go check out the docs and see some components that I haven't seen before because there are new ones coming all the time and get inspired, either using them directly and altering them or saying, hey, maybe something like that with a different shape could fit. So it's really worth when you design your landing pages to, well, take a look and see what fits there. So I want to know, what is your favorite component? Please take a look at the docs and let me know in the comments. I'm really curious what you think is the sleekest one, the most useful one, whatever you think there. Now we've talked quite a bit about Inspire UI itself, but I also want to highlight the organization around it. The org is called Vue, and it was created to have basically a home for all different kind of UI, library, and related projects. So we see Radix Vue, or also known as Reka Vue, they're still transitioning here, right? It was meant as a viewport at first, but this gives it an own touch and doesn't necessarily have to all the way align with what Radix is basically doing in porting, but also adding own ideas here. We also see Chatzy and Vue, as discussed before, and Inspire UI here. Motion View, well, you might have heard of Motion View because if we quickly take a look at this page, this is of course also used by Inspire UI under the hood. So we can actually have that motion V, so everything around motion, transitions, animations, springs, everything there in Vue easily with a lovely syntax. So that's also part of Vue here, maintained by different people, and Vue, which is an unstyled drawer component. All in all, I really think that with Vue, it's really shown that you can have a big number of components, of also a good number of UI libraries, basically under one umbrella, and people can choose and pick from. So thank you to all the people out there who contributed to a project in Vue, in general to open source, and thanks to all the maintainers out there. You're quite amazing. So definitely worth hitting the star there. Links to everything in the description as usual. So I want to give that shout out here for sure. And in a way, also the loop or the frame is kind of perfect because we just talked about Reka UI under Vue. And you know what is using Reka UI under the hood for its latest V3 version, which is still in alpha? Exactly, Nuxt UI. So there we have it. Vue is in a way everywhere. And I'm excited to see which other projects are coming up under that umbrella and where we go there. Most importantly, that development shows that, well, actually people enjoy using Vue and building with it because there are these UI libraries and the need for that. So once again, I think it's a pretty amazing project and I'm curious to see more. And if you want to see more out there, then check out the latest DejaVue episode where we talk with Michael Thiessen about himself and how he became a full-time educator, fought the imposter syndrome, and how his day looks like, how much he works, and also about his secret music career. Definitely, don't forget to listen into that lovely podcast episode and check out the latest videos. Let me know your opinion about Inspire UI and which UI libraries I should cover next in the comments down below. And other than that, I hope you have a lovely weekend or week whenever you're watching this, and see you in the next video. Until then, happy hacking.